Hey there! If you're gearing up for a tech exam or, a big job interview, there's one topic you absolutely cannot afford to stumble on: the Linux file system. And today, we're going to demystify the whole thing, piece by piece. Let's jump right in.
So, you've been there, right? You run a command, and you're just staring at this wall of text on the command line, and you feel kind of lost. It can look like a total blur of weird symbols and names, but I promise you, by the time we're done here, you'll be able to read this screen like a pro. It'll all make perfect sense.
Okay, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the absolute basics, the building blocks. Then we'll get a field guide to tell them apart. After that, we'll zoom out to see the whole ecosystem, unpack that whole parent-child thing, and we'll wrap up by making sure you can crush those interview questions. All right, first things first, the building blocks. Now, here's the most important idea in all of Linux, so really let this sink in. Everything is treated as a file. But not all files are the same. There are really three main species of files you've got to know. The first, and by far the most common type, is the ordinary file, sometimes called a regular file. Just think of these as, well, your stuff. They hold all your data. This could be a text file, a script you wrote, an actual program like Bash, or, even a picture of your dog. This is the actual content of your system. Next up, the directory file. Now, this one's a little different. It's a special kind of file that doesn't actually hold any data itself. Instead, it works like a folder, or maybe a better analogy is an address book. Its only job is to keep a list of other files and directories and where to find them. They're what give the system its structure. And number 3 is the really cool one, the device file. This is how Linux talks to the physical world, to actual hardware. It's a file that represents your hard disk, your keyboard, your mouse, basically anything you can plug in or touch. And there are two main flavors: block devices and character devices. But we'll get to what that means in a minute. So, we know these 3 file types are out there. But how do you actually spot them? How can you tell what you're looking at? Well, for that, we need our trusty field guide, the command ls-l. This little command gives you a detailed list, and it holds the secret to identifying every single file. Now, take a look at this table. You can see the definitions and examples, but the column you really need to focus on is the ls/l symbol. This is the absolute key. When you run ls/l, the very first character of every single line tells the story. A little dash means it's just an ordinary file. A D means it's a directory. And a B or a C tells you it's a block or a character device file. Let me say that again, because it's that important. That one single character at the start of the line tells you exactly what kind of file you're dealing with. A dash for a file, D for a directory. Honestly, this is one of the first things an interviewer will look for. It's such a basic, fundamental piece of knowledge that getting it right or wrong is a huge signal of your experience level. Okay, so let's zoom out. We've seen the individual files. Now let's look at the entire ecosystem. All these files aren't just thrown together in a big, messy pile. No. They're organized into a very specific logical structure, and we call it the file system hierarchy. I want you to picture a giant tree, like a single massive oak tree. The entire Linux file system begins at one single point, the trunk of that tree. We call it the root directory, and it's represented by just a single /. Every single file and folder on your entire system is just a branch or a leaf on this one tree, and they all trace back to that single root. So how does this giant tree stay organized? Well, it all comes down to a really simple but powerful idea: the parent-child relationship. This is the fundamental logic that holds the whole system together and keeps everything neat and predictable. Let's just walk down the tree for a second. At the very top, you have the root, /root. That's the ultimate ancestor. Now, inside root, you'll probably find a directory called /home. In this relationship, root is the parent and /home is its child. Then, inside /home, you'll have your own user directory. So now /home is the parent and your user directory is the child. See how that works? Every directory has a parent, except for root, which is the start of everything. All right, let's bring it all home. This is the part where we turn all this knowledge into real-world performance. We're going to go through the exact kinds of questions you're almost guaranteed to get in an interview so you can walk in there feeling totally prepared.
Here it is, the classic opener. They want to check if you've got the fundamentals down. So what's the best way to answer this? You want to be clear, confident, and to the point.
A really solid answer gets right to the core of it. You could say something like, well, an ordinary file holds the actual data, like text or code or an image. A directory file, on the other hand, doesn't hold data. It's just a special file that stores references to other files and directories. It's basically a container. Using that data versus references language, that's the home run. That's exactly what they're listening for.
Okay, next question. This one is all about your practical, hands-on skills. They want to know, have you actually been on the command line? Do you know what you're looking at? The perfect answer here is direct and shows you know exactly what to do. You'd say, you just look at the very first character of the ls output. A hyphen means it's an ordinary file, a D means it's a directory, a C is a character device which handles data one character at a time like a keyboard, and a B is a block device that handles data in large chunks like a hard drive. Giving that little extra detail shows you really get it. So, to wrap up, here are a few final tips to make sure you're ready. Spend some time in the terminal. Practice using ls-l to spot the file types. Get comfortable moving around with cd and checking where you are with pwd. Make sure you can explain that parent-child idea clearly. And please remember this critical detail. In Linux, myfile with a capital M and myfile with a lowercase m are two totally different files. It's case sensitive. And that's it. You've gone from staring at a confusing screen to truly understanding the map of the Linux file system. You now have the bedrock knowledge you need to walk into that exam or interview with confidence. So the only question left is, with this map in your hand, where are you going to explore next?